Chris Martin thought Dakota Johnson would always come back. But this time, she's not looking back. She's taking over the world and he's running out of chances. It all began with a yacht, a white bikini, and Dakota laughing beside Kate Hudson. Under the Aviva sun, like heartbreak was a foreign word. The headlines dubbed it her revenge era. But insiders knew better. It wasn't revenge. It was a bold, unapologetic freedom tour. After nearly 8 years in an emotionally tangled, quietly toxic on-again, off-again relationship with Chris, Dakota slammed the door shut for good. And instead of retreating or hiding out, she turned every appearance into a headline. First came those sun-drenched yacht photos with Kate, sparking whispers. Was Dakota sending a message, reclaiming her power? Fans flooded social media with praise, hot takes, and speculation. One called her the ultimate breakup anthem. Another quipped Chris up as if she were spelling out exactly what he lost, and she didn't stop there. Days later, Dakota touched down in Rome, and her entrance screamed power. She strolled the cobblestone streets in a sleek black tank, top braless and a white maxi skirt that hugged her in all the right ways. The gold chain on her bag, the matching necklace, the oversized sunglasses, it was all deliberate. This wasn't just a look, it was a statement. I'm thriving without you. Social media erupted. Fans celebrated her glow, hailing her confidence. But as always, the internet had its trolls. Body shamers crawled out of hiding, calling her too thin. One sneered, wonder if she's ever eaten a sandwich. Another added, no cheeseburgers in sight? But Dakota didn't flinch. No clapbacks. No explanations. She let the images and headlines speak louder than words. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, Chris Martin was unraveling. Sources say he believed this was just another break, that they'd patch things up like always. But this time, Dakota went radio silent, and Chris panicked. He reportedly started calling, texting, even roping in mutual friends. None of it worked. Messages left unread, calls ignored. Friends caught in the middle as Chris pleaded for another shot at love. While Dakota was lighting up Europe, Chris was spiraling. Insiders say he wasn't sleeping, barely eating, obsessing over every mistake. Then came that emotional performance of Sparks, leaving fans convinced he was singing directly to Dakota. Was it a genuine plea for forgiveness? Or a desperate grab for her attention? Then things got even messier. Enter Gwyneth Paltrow. Yes, that Gwyneth Crisis ex-wife, and the original queen of conscious uncoupling. She reportedly opened her LA mansion to Chris for the summer, claiming it was for the kids. But insiders say her husband, Brad Fullhawk, wasn't thrilled. And honestly, who could blame him? This wasn't just a breakup anymore, it had morphed into a Hollywood soap opera. An ex-wife offering emotional support, a current husband's side, the whole setup, and a rock star chasing after the woman who finally stopped chasing him. And while Chris was camped out at Gwyneth's, Dakota was turning up the heat across Europe. The Ibiza trip that started as a simple girls' getaway with Kate Hudson became a headline machine. From yacht lounging to elegant dinners with Ricky Martin, she wasn't just moving on, she was soaring. And the rumors, they didn't slow down. A blind item even claimed she was spotted laughing with Tom Brady. Whether fact or tabloid fantasy, didn't matter. Dakota wasn't denying, wasn't explaining. She was just too busy living, and that's exactly what left Chris spiraling. He had always believed their relationship ran in cycles: break up, sulk, reconcile, wash, rinse, repeat. But this time, Dakota broke the loop. No texts, no calls, no second chances, just silence. Behind closed doors, Chris returned to old habits, leaning on friends, drafting heartfelt texts, trying to reach her through But Dakota had built a wall of calm, polished distance. Nothing was getting through, and here's where the plot thickens. While Chris replayed his greatest hits of regret, Dakota was making power moves of her own. Pedro Pascal, just a friend? Sure, but that didn't stop fans from speculating. Tom Brady, just a yacht sighting, allegedly. But the story had already taken on a life of its own. Dakota wasn't trying to prove anything, she didn't need to. The message was clear, she's no longer waiting in the wings. She's center stage, and Chris is finally realizing he's not part of the act anymore. Maybe they were just friends, but that didn't stop the headlines. And every time a new photo dropped, whether it was a sun-soaked beach shot or a glamorous night out, Chris Martin was reportedly spiraling further. Because the more Dakota lived, the more he unraveled. And believe it or not, this isn't even the wildest part. By now, Chris wasn't just heartbroken, he was scrambling. Insiders say he convinced himself Dakota's silence was just another phase in their messy cycle. Break up, cool off, reconnect, that's how it had always played out. But this time, reality hit him harder than he ever expected. Dakota wasn't waiting around. She wasn't second-guessing. She was glowing. And Chris, he was coming undone. Allegedly, he started pulling every strengthening mutual friends, sending heartfelt texts, even trying to arrange accidental run-ins at events. People close to Dakota reportedly warned her that Chris was pulling every trick he knew to sneak back into her life, but Dakota, she stayed unfazed. Then came the oldest trick in Chris's book. Word is, he started cozying up to Dakota's family, specifically her mother, Melanie Griffith. Sources say he dropped not-so-subtle hints that he was finally ready to settle down. If Dakota gave him just one more chance, the same man who danced around commitment for nearly a decade suddenly wanted a wedding day tanned fast. But here's the twist. Dakota saw right through it. The guy who couldn't say engagement for 8 years now wanted to sprint to the altar only after she walked away. Friends close to her reportedly called it exactly what it looked like, a desperate PR stunt, not a genuine change of heart. Still, Chris doubled down. Sources say he started reaching out to anyone in Dakota's orbit, mutual friends, Hollywood contacts, even fellow artists, pushing the narrative that he was a new man. He swore he'd marry her this year if she just gave him the chance. One insider said he even tried to win over her family, telling them how serious he was about making things right. But Dakota wasn't playing along. Instead of picking up the phone, she responded with headlines, vacation snapshots, flirty Instagram posts, red carpet showstoppers. The same woman who once stayed low-key in Chris's shadow was now center stage and loving it. And while Chris was allegedly losing sleep and drowning in regret, Dakota was busy glowing up for the whole world to see. But here's the part that really stings: why Dakota may have been done in the first place. For months, insiders have whispered that she felt smothered in the relationship. Chris's controlling habits, his alleged reclusive behavior, and his expectation that Dakota stay home while he toured the globe had all taken their toll. Friends say she felt more like a decorative fixture in his life than a true partner. So, when she finally walked, it wasn't just a breakup, it was a personal revolution. And the more she lived fully, the more Chris's carefully constructed world began to crack. And you won't believe how deep the spiral went next. For Chris Martin, this wasn't how the story was supposed to end. He figured Dakota would cool off, miss him, and return like always. That was their pattern, but this time she shattered the loop. She slammed the door so hard, Hollywood felt the aftershock. Insiders say Chris genuinely thought they had unfinished business. Wasn't that always their rhythm? Fight, drift apart, then drift right back. But this time, Dakota didn't drift. She stood tall, alone. And while Chris was unraveling, she was thriving. In the months after the split, Dakota's name became a symbol of power, independence, and a fierce confidence Chris reportedly never saw coming. The once low-profile girlfriend was now headlining her own narrative. Paparazzi captured her at star-studded parties, tropical vacations, and surrounded by Hollywood royalty. Meanwhile, Chris watched from the sidelines. And here's the savage part. Sources say Chris hasn't given up, not even close. Rumors say he's been quietly plotting a comeback both in love and career. New music projects, strategic public appearances, staged interviews, all seemingly aimed at showing the world and Dakota version of himself he wished he'd been when it counted. But Dakota, she stayed silent. No statements, no reactions. Just photo after photo, headline after headline, proving she's better off. And with every confident move, every bold outfit, every paparazzi snap, she made her message loud and clear. I don't need you, I never did, because this wasn't just a breakup, it was a shift in power. For once, Dakota Johnson wasn't the quiet plus one in someone else's love story. She was the star of her own and Chris. Just a chapter she finally closed. But the question remains, will Chris's desperate final act work? Or is he chasing after someone who's already moved on and leveled up? You tell us. Drop your thoughts. In the comments, is Dakota in her ultimate glow-up era, or is Chris Martin about to pull off the most unexpected celebrity redemption arc ever? Stick with us. We're watching every twist, turn, and spill of the tea. Hit that subscribe button. If you live for the drama nobody else dares to serve. This is Pop Crave Unfiltered, where we don't just spill the tea, we pour it straight up.